Sao Paulo always brings the chaos and delivers as a race weekend, and for sure it may just be guaranteed this episode as we come off the back of last time out at the Singapore Grand Prix. This is part number 53 today of this F1 24 career, but we come off the back of a contentious Singapore Grand Prix where things really didn't go our way in the one-off red pig Mercedes livery, and things went very right for that man there, Charles Leclerc, in the Ferrari. Back-to-back wins, and now taking the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Although we are level on points, he now leads the championship through to technicality. But wow, this is now all of a sudden got a bit real, because Ferrari also very close to us, Mercedes, in the Constructors' Championship. After a brief bit of form from George Russell, things have started to peter off again for him. And of course, for myself, it's been a rocky couple of races. You know, P4 in Belgium, then P9 at Monza, P4 Baku, P17 Singapore. We seem to be just hopping around P4 and then a bad result. I'm hoping that means Brazil today will be on for another P4 around Brazil, but it's going to be very much all of the same for these remaining races in terms of the level of competitiveness, the chaos, because no one's really bringing any upgrades, so no one's going to make a huge march because there's a regulation change on the way, so everyone's saving R&D points, so pretty much no point even showing you the R&D chart. Everything's plateaued. But what I am focusing on is that in-game, very nicely, in-game as well as the actual standings, we are in a championship rivalry, quote-unquote, with Leclerc. The actual in-game rivalry just specifies the actual points you have in the championship. Like, you can get one of these in your rookie season, for example. But very nicely, in this season, it's lined up with the man we are fighting in the championship. So whether that boosts Leclerc's AI even more because he's in an actual rivalry with me, I don't know. If it does, that's going to be a bit ominous because he comes off the back of 2 race wins in a row. So we're going to have to try our best to put a stop to that. And the first opportunity will be in the sprint quali and sprint.
It's a Saturday showdown. Anyone fancy some hot laps around Interlagos? It's qualifying day here for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Looking ahead over the course of the race weekend, there may be some rain on the way for the actual quali and full Grand Prix. So the sprint may be the only time we get some completely dry running and really see where our car stacks up versus our rivals of, well, very much now Ferrari, but obviously Red Bull have been in there. We've been very annoyed in the top 10. Everyone's been annoyed in the top 10 by various different teams, you know. It's been very exciting as a neutral, I'm sure, to watch it. You know, we've got High-Tech up there, Toyota, Aston, McLaren yo-yoing about, so it's very hard to tell, and it's really just track dependent. I'm hoping that this track is going to be a bit better for us than it was at Singapore as we go P4. Unfortunately, though, after that first run was done, that P4 turns into a P11 and 12 for myself and Russell, both of us close together. So that's a little bit worrying that that's actually where the car pace is. We've got one more crack at it. Being a sprint qualifying, we're on the same set of tyres, but obviously we've only had one practice session, so as the cars go out, the track rubbers in, so the track is getting quicker and quicker, so it's crucial to be out here in the final part as the checker flag flies. There's a purple, a green, a purple to go much quicker. It's not going to be quickest of all, though, because others find even more time as the session ends. P6, it's not too bad. It's way better than Russell. Bloody hell, George. It's the opposite of what I need from you, Russell. P17, that's horrendous. Lando Norris finds some form after the last 2 episodes. He's been out and down in the last 5 in qualifying, so he re-finds some form, as does the entire McLaren team, both of them in the top 10. Ollie Behrman, incredible showing in sprint quali to be P4 in the High-Tech GP car, splitting the 2 Ferraris, and our main rival, Leclerc, ahead of us in P3. So we have to go forwards in the sprint to try and outscore him. Of course, you don't score too many points over your rival in the sprint race, but, you know, every point could matter going down to the final race. I mean, we're level on points as it stands right now, so it really could be a very, very close one. And, you know, judging off how competitive things have been in the season so far, I'd be surprised if it doesn't go down to the wire, but we want to obviously have the advantage on that.
We need a good result today if we want to catch Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship.
And the pressure mounts on our shoulders, because going into the sprint, even Mark, our engineer, knows the importance of scoring every point, and we all know how how wrong he gets things. So even he knows the importance of this sprint and every single point we can get in the title fight as we go towards 5 red lights. The sprint in Sao Paulo is underway. Leclerc's slow. Sainz with a good getaway. Behrman a bit slow on the right-hand side. Perez goes on the outside. Contact made. And we're out.
Okay, that was a
We're
cracking
out.
hit.
What?
Turn the engine off.
In a flash. We are out of this race. Are you kidding me? Contact with the Ferrari. Bigger contact with the McLaren. Sergio Perez has sheared off our tyre. I didn't even have time to process that. What? We're out. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I didn't even have time to commentate properly to turn one, for goodness sake. Oh my God. Perez going for the aggressive move on the outside. You know, we already were playing a bit of ping pong with Sainz's rear end. This is the view from Sainz's rear, and obviously we made contact. We literally get ping pong from Sainz's car to Perez, and that's no one's fault. That's literally just the worst luck in the world of a racing incident, because Perez spooks me, I tighten up, then there's actually a lock-up ahead from Leclerc, and that slows down Sainz more than I thought it would, so that's why I actually caught him quicker than I thought I was going to, break my front wing, and then that momentum loss actually brought me back into Perez's rear left tyre, and it just sheared cleanly off. That is horrendous luck. That is so bad. Like any other, you know, one more pixel to the left and maybe that tyre doesn't shear off and maybe there's a chance this will do something in the race. But alas, we walk to the back of the garage. It's game over. And Leclerc goes on to score P2 in that sprint. So all of a sudden, the sprint race has actually mattered a lot in terms of the points, because 7 points there for Leclerc to my 0. That's effectively like he's won a Grand Prix and I've come second behind him. So he's now 7 points all of a sudden ahead in the championship, going into, we haven't even done normal qualifying in this Brazilian Grand Prix race weekend. And now Ferrari all of a sudden are leading the constructors by 6 points. So we haven't even got into the proper part of the race weekend, and we're now already in a deficit in the drivers and constructors. Maybe that little pep talk from Mark putting the pressure on me, maybe it did the opposite, I feel, because, oh, it's raining. It's absolutely tipping it down. Of course it is. It's Sao Paulo. Of course it's going to rain on a weekend that's crucial for the World Championship. There's something about Brazil and title fights and rain. It has so much aura and so much pedigree for this kind of, you know, part of the season, Brazil. And it always just comes at the, well, sometimes the best times. And in my case right now, feels like the worst time, honestly, because now we're out on full wet tyres, having to perform as well as we can off the back of a sprint race where I just DNF straight away. You know, confidence isn't the highest, and now we've got to try and perform at the highest level in one of the trickiest conditions out there, full wets. On a little bit of fuel to do consecutive laps, because with conditions as they are, it's crucial to just be lapping out there, being there at the right time to set the best time, and conditions are at their peak and things are getting quicker as I think the rain is letting off slightly. We're still on the full wets, but now at the end of this session, we're down to P13, having already improved by a second, by the way, on our second flying lap. This is now our third flying lap. So from our first to second, a second gained, still down in P13 at the end of the session here. Our third flying lap, we gain over 1.2 seconds to go top now from P13. So that's a crucial lap from us. But I'm afraid we may be peaked even too early here, because there is still 3 minutes to go. And I actually don't think I have enough fuel to keep going. Because by the time we get round, I mean, my tyres are going to be a bit old as well, because we only have one set to use, it being a sprint weekend here as well. So I think we may have peaked a bit early. That was a really great lap, I felt, but it may have just come too early. Like, if it was a bit later in the session, it may have been even quicker to then combat, well, this development. From P1, we go down to P6. Max Verstappen is going to be on pole position for the full, proper Brazilian Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso, second place. So 2 drivers who we know are great in the wet, tons of experience, great racecraft. They managed to navigate their cars to a front row. Leclerc, our championship rival, down in P10. It's a bit of a poor session for Ferrari. Maybe their car's struggling in the wet conditions, being set up more for a dry running, maybe for tomorrow's Grand Prix, because I believe it will be starting dry, but I think there's more rain to come in the race. So this is at least better for us to start on the front foot ahead of Leclerc, but with rain on the way, Brazil's Brazil, it's going to be a bit hectic. 2 McLarens ahead of us, a Haas up there, High-Tech up there, Logan Sargent. So clearly even this quali was a bit hectic. Who knows how it's going to go, but we need to make up for that horrendous lap 1 on the sprint. Let's go to the grid.
Welcome along then to where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the very final corner. And just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. That gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Fernando Alonso completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Perez, Oscar Piastri, a Mercedes, Russell, Sargent, Stroll, Leclerc, Ocon, Tsunoda, Behrman, Bottas, Albon, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Joe, Hamilton, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And alongside me today, a man who I'm always pleased to see join me in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say, they've got the better of them more often than not. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
Yes, they can, Crofty. You've got to put it behind you. Whatever happened last time, I was always told as a driver, park it, forget about it. Obviously, feel the pain when it happens, but then you can't dwell on it and carry that through to the next race. So put it behind you and just crack on with this race coming your way now.
So it's certainly a bit doom and gloom here in Sao Paulo. The rain is lingering. It is on the way. And you can clearly tell on the top left, I've gone very different on the tyre compounds. I have gone for the hard tyres because looking at this screen, on the strategy screen, I thought, oh, we could go all the way to the wet period and definitely not have any tyre wear on the dries that I'm starting on before the rain starts to fall. What's the problem with that? Yeah, the rain's already started to fall. Absolutely brilliant. Great to know that forecast was completely incorrect. Amazing, amazing stuff. There are so many times with this Mercedes team this year that I'm dumbfounded at operational mistakes, weather forecast accuracy, just in the bin. It is already raining and I am the only driver, I'm pretty sure, on the hard tyres. So I'll have the least amount of grip on a cold, somewhat damp track at the start of this one. Everyone else is on softs or mediums in a race where I'm already down now on Leclerc net for the race weekend because of what happened in the sprint. So things are really up against me already. Maybe, yes, I think in hindsight I was being a bit too clever for my own good, looking at the strategy and trying to go a bit too different, but I thought we have to go for something to try and almost go for the win of this race, especially with Leclerc down the order at the bottom of the top 10. But now this might come back to bite me. Let's see how these first laps go. I'm going to have to hope that the rain isn't going to settle anytime soon, so that eventually my hards might be the better tyre. Who knows? It's a big unknown for this entire race, which also makes things very exciting as we go towards 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. It's a slow start for us, of course, on the hard compound. And oh my God, Logan Sargent has overtaken us in the high-tech. Russell's got us. We're trying to stay ahead of Lance Stroll, but immediately Leclerc is right behind us. He's on the mediums, and we just went backwards, just straight off the fire red lights. Of course we did, on the hards. I'm so regretting choosing this compound now. I was trying to be way too clever for my own good, as we now try and come back at Sargent, who is on the soft compound as well, so he's really going for it, but we do have the better car compared to high-tech, so we should be able to get this move done. We kind of close off the door at the inside, and oh, early safety car. Okay, this has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works. This actually may not be to our favor, because this will allow the rain to start settling, and so this might be an even worse choice for us at this point in the Grand Prix. Verstappen leads the way under this safety car. Lando second, Alonso, Perez, Piastri in a crazy P5, doing really well for DHL Haas. Leclerc, like I said, in P9, was directly behind us, but we really overtook Sargent in the high-tech car, who's in a very lofty position compared to his teammate, who's usually been in a similar one, as we now get going for green flag racing, and it's already getting quite slippery. As you can see, I nearly decked the car into the wall there. Make no mistake, I was actually quite close to ruining my entire race just there and then. As we go to green flag racing, no one coming in yet, though. It's still very dry as we send it down the inside of our teammate. Russell keeping his nose in, though. Look at the mirrors. Oh, could have been a disaster, but we are able to make the overtake. Russell faces no damage, but he is looking a bit slow. Once again, Russell, very questionable form at this part of the season, as he's under attack and he's been overtaken by Sargent. What am I seeing? Russell, please at least hold up Leclerc. Please, for the love of God, do something in this championship fight. I'm not even just talking about my individual fight. I'm talking about for the constructors versus Ferrari. Can he please? Oh, second safety car. What? What's going on? The thing is, I didn't see any reason for the first safety car. No one went off. There was no damage. And now for the second time, there's a safety car in 4 laps. I think this is a bit of a glitch from the game. I'm gonna hazard a guess, because again, I can't see anyone that's gone off. There's no damage reported for anyone. I've told my team I want to come in, but I'm also a bit reluctant. You saw there, I almost decided to come in there and then, but then I kept asking my team about the weather report. Mark not giving me a straight answer, and it still looks pretty dry, but we do know there's a wet period on the way. And we're on the safety car. This is a free pit stop, and I felt like it would be silly not to take it. We didn't do it in the first safety car. We've just got given a gift, in my opinion, of a second safety car immediately. I think we take it. I think we gamble here, and I don't even feel like it's a gamble. I feel like it's just a bid to get track position, because eventually when we do come on to intermediates, I will already be on inters, and I would have already made my pit stop. Remember also, if everyone comes in at the same time, they're bound to trip over each other in the pit lane, as we've gone green. So actually, in hindsight, it's not a full free pit stop because they're racing at full speed. So actually, if I really wanted to make the most of this, I should have just stuck to my guns and pit on lap 5 rather than lap 6. But still, I think this is an advantage because we've got a free pit lane, no funny business, on to inters. What? Oh, no way. Okay, the F1 gods clearly want me to make this strategy work. We've got a third safety car. Once again, by the way, for absolutely nothing. Some weird glitch. Or the FIA being very trigger happy with safety concerns about how treacherous Sao Paulo is in these slippery conditions, and they're maybe trying to force everyone to kind of wake up and come on to inters with all the safety cars. I don't know, but I've decided to come in, obviously, and now the third safety car has solidified the decision of us coming in. We're definitely now going to gain and pretty much jump everyone, you would say. You know, may have not been the case without that third safety car, actually, because, yeah, I did miss I did miss the boat by pitting on lap 6. Everyone was racing at full speed, but now with the third safety car, absolutely, we've got a free pit stop. We're at the back here, and we can make some overtakes potentially as we get going again on lap 9 on to 10. And then we can make a couple of overtakes here, then we'll be in an even better position, you would think, once everyone is coming in. But it's also just about keeping our nose clean as we make the move on Ricardo. He's going for the move on Zhou Guanyu ahead of us. Yellow flags, a bit of contact with the Audi, and technically I think we overtook under yellows because the FIA tell us to give back the... Oh no, look at that tyre. Oh dear. We have to give back the position to Joe, and he takes his sweet time with it, so that was a little bit messy, and we lost a bit of time there, so that's not ideal. We have not done ourselves a favour there with the contact with the Audi, having to give the place back here. This does already feel like a bit of one of those races where so much is going to happen in this race, and it's just about trying to survive and get through the hurdles. That was another hurdle of just letting him by, take it on the chin, and carrying on. But did you see that tyre temperature on the rear right? No way. Oh my god. It's a 4th safety car. What is going on in this race? Oh, and my tyres are absolutely on fire. It's great to know, what, 5-6 months after the game's come out, we still have this silly problem with intermediates. But the better story is this glitch, clearly, of 4 safety cars. Are you kidding me? Crazy stuff. And no one's come in yet. Lap 12 and no one's come in. So now I'm thinking maybe we came in a bit too early for the Inters. We could have come in on the 3rd safety car or the 4th safety car. But also, I didn't know there were going to be 4 safety cars. As now everyone's coming in. We nearly crash into Hamilton, who continues on. We nearly rear-ended the man. As many people come in, the top 3 stay out. Behrman, Hulkenberg, Sainz. We're up to P4, though. We're up to P4. And these guys now are losing grip on the exit of the NRS. We have now got the better tyre compound, even with the overheating internal temperature. We overtake Sainz, we go to the right, and we get round the outside of Nico Hulkenberg. Lovely sequence of overtakes there from the left to the right, up to 2nd place. And we again find ourselves in a weird position of Ollie Behrman in the lead of a Grand Prix. We're closing him down. We're going to have to overtake Behrman. Honestly, this season, with Ollie's debut in Formula 1, all the signs I'm hoping are pointing to that this man is going to get a driver transfer to Ferrari or a top team next season. Please make it happen, F1 24 coding, because all the signs are pointing that this guy deserves a better seat in this series, in this career mode save, as we get into 1st place, and we now lead by 15.5 seconds on lap 15. Alonso 2nd, Verstappen 3rd. Russell has jumped up to P4 in what I assume was a pit lane mess when everyone came in. Leclerc is P8. He's been jumped by Tsunoda, but equally others have gone down the order like Logan Sargent. But Leclerc diving down the inside, looking to make the P7 overtake, but Tsunoda comes back in the Ferrari and Toyota side by side, nearly banging tyres on intermediates. This is a very aggressive bit of racing from Leclerc, but I think you get the sense there that he knows that it's important to limit the damage now. He gained 7 points on me in the sprint, but now I'm in the lead by a massive margin and vying for the race win. So it's damage limitation for Leclerc right now. Lap 15, later in that same lap, look at those tyres. Really, really hot. So we've got 15 seconds on Alonso, so I decided, okay, we need to slow it down a bit. We need to try our best to cool off these tyres. Drive in the standing water. This is losing us time. We're down to 13 seconds, 12.5 seconds. But now, look at the right-hand side. Our tyres are back into a good range of temperature. So we've given up a bit of lap time there to get the temperatures under control. We did something similar at the Portuguese Grand Prix last season on intermediates. So it does work. You know, you can cool down the tyres in this game, but you have to give up so much lap time that in a normal situation when you're fighting nose to tail, it's impossible to do so. But when you've got such a big margin, it is possible. The physics do allow it. It's just they've kind of got this scaling so wrong because you're just unable to do it when you're fighting people, which obviously you can't do in real life either. But obviously the fact that overheating so badly when you're just driving on your own in the first place is pretty shocking like that, no matter what the conditions or whatever, as we now see Lando Norris overtaking Piastri for P5. Leclerc right up there, so he is trying to get up into the top 5. Can he get P6 at least? Is Lando pulling away a bit? The McLaren with maybe a bit more pace in these conditions. Piastri giving Leclerc a real big fight. Thank you very much, Piastri. GG's, firm handshakes for holding up Leclerc there to the point where Tsunoda now may even look for the repass. The Ferrari once again going for the move, but Piastri shutting the door, and Leclerc is actually under pressure properly from Tsunoda. He's got a nose alongside, so this is good for us, but also at the same time, look at the top left. The gap was down to 9 seconds. Now lap 22, 7 laps after we got the lead, we're down to 7 seconds as Ocon is out of the race, and that is going to be a virtual safety car. So we've had a very trigger-happy FIA today. 4 safety cars, 1 virtual safety car. But yeah, now that we've got the tyres under control, we are pushing now. I'm trying to push as much as I can without overdoing it. But honestly, Alonso and Verstappen just have so much pace. They have so much more pace than me. The AI are very good around this circuit in the wet, it would seem. And even though I'm trying my best, they are catching me. I mean, we know this Mercedes isn't the quickest car on the grid, and so in these conditions, they're doing really well. And then also here, on the restart, I wasn't really sure when we were getting going because the yellow message was still there. So I gave up about 2 seconds of time, because in my confusion, I didn't know whether I was able to go or not, because I didn't want to get impeded for speeding in the virtual safety car period. So Verstappen and Alonso have just gained 2 seconds on me. They're down to, the gap is 5.9. So they very cheekily gained an advantage because of my small hesitation there, as Leclerc now finally making the move maybe on Oscar Piastri. The two of them are still going at it so aggressively. They're great racing in such tricky conditions, but Leclerc gets up into P6. Lap 25, 11 laps to go. Lando ahead in P5, Russell P4, Verstappen third, Alonso second. The two of them have been nose to tail. Verstappen putting massive pressure on Fernando, but both of them in tandem are catching up to me. 4.2 seconds to gap as Verstappen goes for a move. A late dive bomb from the Dutchman, does really well, gets the elbows out. The two of them side by side. This is incredible stuff. Two world champions duking it out in intermediate conditions. Aston Martin Honda versus Red Bull Ford, and the Aston Martin is gonna keep out in second place for now, but Verstappen really applying the pressure. And someone equally applying pressure is Lando Norris on Russell, because Russell is duped into a mistake, locks up, and he's down to P5. Lando up to P4. Russell, I swear to God, now the next car behind you is Leclerc. If you don't hold him up, I simply cannot anymore with this partnership this season. It's really not what I thought it was going to be. Lap 28. The gap is now down to less than 2 seconds. I am struggling because now look at the tyre where I've got. The rear tyres, they're so bad. The icon is orange. I'm losing time, and Alonso and Verstappen are gaining, and now I really need this track to dry out. This race was meant to go from dry to wet, back to dry, so I need it to be time for slicks sooner rather than later, because these two, they're catching me, and they're still fighting whilst they do it. Verstappen going for that similar move on the outside, the slingshot on the outside of the center S. Alonso is going to stay ahead at the exit, but this time Verstappen might have a good run. As you can see, I'm moving about, trying to cool down my tyres by using the standing water, because it's now drying out, and that's definitely hurting my tyre wear, hurting the tyre temps again. So trying to desperately cool it whilst pushing, as Alonso finally gets overtaken by Verstappen. He's tried very, very hard, and I'm sure Alonso will come back at him, and I hope he does, because the more those two fight, the better for me. Lap 30, 6 laps to go. Still no sign of the track drying enough for slicks. This is bad now. Lap 32, I feel like we're going to the end now, honestly, and that's a problem because as Leclerc sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, I've got nearly 80% tyre wear on the rear right. We're already into puncture territory. There's an RNG any minute that tyre could puncture from here on out. This is getting very, very precarious. This is officially squeaky bum time at the end of lap 32. Verstappen is right up our gearbox. Alonso and Lando in tandem. The top four all separated by a couple of seconds. Verstappen's off. Verstappen makes an uncharacteristic error. Alonso comes through for second. And now all of a sudden, Russell and Leclerc are in the same picture. This is not good for us as we just stay ahead of Alonso. But in the same camera shot, I can see Leclerc. The laps are coming down, but the pace is very much not. Everyone's getting quicker and quicker, and I suspect it's because their tyres are in a much better nick than mine. As there goes Leclerc, side by side with Russell. Please, Russell, for the love of God, can you please defend him? Please do something. He's trying his hardest, but now Leclerc has the straight line speed. Russell's left the door open, and Leclerc outbrakes him, cuts across, and gets up to P5. Leclerc is up into the top 5, and the problem here now for me is Leclerc will catch Lando because it's the usual F124 train going on here. Now it's a case of, as we get towards lap 35, my rear tyre is 93%. 93%. We've got 2 whole laps to go. I am just trying to train these guys to the end and defend my heart out. But we need to be careful because is Leclerc going to go for more? We're able to pull away from Alonso in a straight line, but every corner, these guys are catching me because obviously that's where the tyre performance comes in. There goes Leclerc going for P4 maybe. Lando stays ahead, but for how much longer? You honestly feel that Leclerc's got momentum. He's going to overtake the McLaren, and then he could even overtake Verstappen and Alonso. Oh no, my tyre's 95%. My tyre's not... We're not getting to the end. We're not getting to the end. 96% tyre wear. We're going to get a puncher. I feel like that's a guarantee. So now I'm doing some quick thinking and some judgment in my head. I've got to let Alonso go. I've got to let him go. I've got to let him go. Verstappen, Lando. Now, you're going to think, what on earth am I doing? I'm acting crazy. No, I'm playing 4D chess in my head. This is not about this race today. This is about the championship we've got left to do. Because with 96% tyre wear, I'm getting a punch on the last lap. Guaranteed. There's no point pitting, because if I pit, I'm out the points anyway. So I may as well try and get to the end. But Russell is actually now looking to have a go at Leclerc. He was actually side by side with him in Sector 3. Is there a way to block Leclerc and get Russell ahead of him? We're trying our best. We squeeze Leclerc. Russell on the outside. Oh, he spun it! You useless driver, Russell. Spun it on the last corner. What good are you, mate? As Leclerc gets us, Sainz gets us. Not only is this painful for our Drivers' Championship, this is painful for the Constructors. Ferrari are going to be into a good lead as we're neck and neck. And now the puncher comes in. What did I say? We slam into the wall and we're going backwards. And the rear right has punctured. And as we come back on track, Perez is going to hit us. And we just, well, it's game over. It's game over. But you know what? You know what? That was 4D chess at its best, because Fernando Alonso is going to win this race. Verstappen second, Lando third, and Leclerc has no chance of scoring more than 12 points. This was what my mind was at when I let those three by. I know the tyre's going to puncture. If I pit for new tyres, I'm going to be out the points anyway. So let's let them by. So I'd rather let Leclerc only score 12 than have the opportunity to score 15, 18, 25. Fernando Alonso wins again in Formula 1. Verstappen second, Lando third, Leclerc P4. He scores 12 points. I limp home for 0 points for the second race in a row. And we have now given up a big old lead in the championship. But with some quick thinking, as I very sadly trundle along on 3 wheels literally, and as we go onto the main straight, it's just comical now. It's just comical. I might be the first driver that's reversed across the line for the finish line here, but what I've done there at the end of the race there was big. It may not feel like it, but trust me, that was pretty big and quick thinking from me to make sure Leclerc only scored 12 points and there was no chance he scored more, because that might just win us the championship at the end of the season. You never know. It sounds crazy, but that's where my head was at.
What a day it's been for Fernando Alonso. It's victory, and what a victory.
Alonso wins it. Verstappen second, Lando third, but Leclerc, that's the big one. 12 points, 0 points for us. Russell, 2 points. Yeah, it's a big blow. This entire race weekend was not what it was meant to be. We were meant to come back from the 0 points at Singapore, and instead we score 0 points again. Leclerc is now 19 points ahead of us in the championship. We must win multiple races to end this season for our sake and the Constructors' Championship sake, because we've slipped from P1 to P3 in the Constructors. Even Red Bull are ahead of us. It was a race where I just tried to be too clever with the strategy, tried to be too clever with going earlier for tyres, and ultimately that was my own grave then by the end of the race, having the puncher, because I assumed we were going to go back to dries, but we weren't. And of course my tyres were going to wear out more than others, having gone so early. So yeah, I dug my own grave there, but equally I did save myself a bit with the quick thinking. This now goes on to the final 3 races, and I have got a lot of chasing to do. I still believe, but it's going to take a lot of work, and we can absolutely not have any race like today and Singapore for the rest of the season. Guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button, let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.